Welcome to Ready for Authentic Love, the podcast where we get raw and real about relationships. This is where inner work meets intimacy, where we unlearn old patterns and rewrite the stories we've been fed about love. I'm Gwen Allison, and each month we'll explore how to build conscious, healing, and fulfilling relationships, especially the relationship you have with yourself. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Awakening Airwaves and this new episode of Ready for Authentic Love. I'm your host, Gwen Allison. I'm a Reiki Master Teacher and a transformational life coach. This episode continues our exploration of the 4 fears that are sabotaging our relationships. Last time we looked at the fear of losing our independence and losing ourselves, as well as the fear of being cheated on. And this time I was going to look at 2 fears, rejection and abandonment, but there's so much to talk about with each one. This is going to be an episode about the fear of rejection. And then next time I'll do an episode about the fear of abandonment, because there's so much to cover, really, as you'll see in a minute. The fear of being rejected. This fear can come up, gosh, before we've even met someone, when we're just about to enter the dating pool, and get out there, we can have this tremendous fear that perhaps we will not be chosen, or that we'll start the process, get into, sort of early stages of dating and then be rejected. So it's an important one to kind of look at, explore, and overcome. So that's what we're going to do now, really. We're going to look at how this fear of rejection can manifest itself, and we'll look at what we can do to start healing it, really. But putting yourself out there can feel really scary and leave us feeling very, very vulnerable, right? So I want to start with a question for you. So hopefully you've got your journals, guys, and that you've maybe lit a candle, set your space. But if you have your journal, or you may answer it in your mind if you're not sure, if you don't have a journal or notepad. My journal prompt is, what parts of myself do I hold back from others out of fear they won't accept me? What parts of myself do I hold back from others out of fear they won't accept me? So just answering that question. And you can tell what I'm leading to here. A lot of our rejection that's happening as adults, we're carrying ourselves. We're actually not choosing ourselves. We're actually, rejecting ourselves. So this fear of rejection can manifest in a couple of ways. The first is avoidance. So we may literally make excuses for not being out there, for not dating, for not entering into relationships. And those excuses may be valid. So we might say things like, I want to focus on me, perfectly valid. I want to focus on my job, my work, my business, the kids, perfectly valid. But we just need to just check a little bit deeper, just make sure that is genuinely how we feel. And we're not actually denying ourselves something that we really truly desire. So we want to be in alignment with our desires. So if you temperature check and, yep, this is how I feel, I'm focused on my business, I want to go, 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 then that's fine. But if not, then we know we need to kind of unpack this a little bit so that you can really, align with what you want. The other way it can manifest is with overperforming. So when we do go out on dates, we end up trying to be the perfect person, be the perfect candidate. And so we can find ourselves trying too hard to, um, I don't know, just please the other person, trying too hard, laughing at their jokes, maybe liking everything they like in terms of interests, kind of hiding aspects of ourselves for fear that it won't be accepted, our quirks and things like that. So, this overperformance really has a pushing energy. And so the other person, even if they're not spiritual, they can sense that they're not connecting with the real person. You just sense that falseness. And you'll also feel it in other people if they do that with you as well. So, trying to do those things, isn't going to benefit us. We really need to drop down into our most authentic selves here. Um, and I think it's understanding that rejection, we need to reframe rejection when we're dating like this from rejection and it being about our worth. to really just being about our fit. Do we fit? And there's a chemistry there. Are we in alignment? Do we agree on similar things? Have we got similar interests? Do our lives feel like they're going to kind of fit? Just that kind of thing. So don't let rejection, when we're dating, mean something about you. Um, but yeah, when we carry these wounds of rejection, a no can actually feel like proof that we're not good enough if we haven't done any work on ourselves and we hold this view that we're not enough, which is just an illusion. Then when we hear the word no, we completely embody that and integrate that and make it mean everything about us. And we've got to be careful to not kind of do that. Yeah, so understanding that not everyone is for everyone, so the no can just be a no and we can kind of move on from there. So I want to look now at how these fears might have come about. Why are we at this stage where rejection is such a big thing for us? And it debilitates us in this way sometimes. So childhood, if we were not loved unconditionally and there were conditions to love as children, then we learn that rejection has consequences. We learn that not being um, uh, who this other person wanted us to be, the achiever, the good little girl, good little boy. We learn that, not pleasing this other person means that we are denied love in some way. So that can be a really big thing if that's how we were treated by our caregiver, and particularly if they were really dismissive or critical of us as well. Then we spend all of our lives, our childhood, and then adulthood trying to please them, trying to get approval from them, kind of forgetting really that, our caregivers themselves are also probably wounded if this is what's happening, so we're trying to find love from someone who's actually incapable of loving us really. But all because we want to avoid that disapproval. Uh, if we've experienced rejection by others in the past, particularly it could be through childhood or heartbreak, this may have pushed us into what's called an anxious attachment style or avoidant attachment style. And I'll probably do another episode on this to go a bit deeper. I'm definitely anxious attachment because of my childhood and my upbringing. Some people are avoidant. My partner was slightly avoidant, actually. So that can kind of happen as well, where you avoid love because of rejection in the past and that kind of pain, and you want to avoid that pain, or you go into a relationship but you become anxious all the time about being rejected because of what's happened in the past to you. But yeah, as I said, we'll be talking more and exploring more the attachment styles in another episode. But yeah, this can make us become, as I said, people pleasers, and we've talked a lot about people pleasing, perfectionism as well, needing things to be just right so we're not rejected. That can also come out of this. Um, and a lot of us maybe fear being ghosted, which is a total shutdown of communication, no communication at all, which leaves us with nothing but our thoughts and ruminations about why this has happened. But the key thing is, it's remembering that we can choose ourselves. We can choose ourselves. I do remember as well, childhood is a big thing. I do remember the childhood playground, games being played and teams being picked and not being picked or being picked last. That again makes you feel like even life isn't choosing you, even life doesn't choose me. So yeah, that can be really strongly, deeply ingrained in us, really, this fear of rejection. So I've got another journal prompt for you. So, where in my past did I first feel rejected? I've just told you about mine, more in the playground, at home as well, I think, as well, growing up. Where in the past did I first feel rejected or unseen? Where in the past did I first feel rejected or unseen? So, you're welcome to pause the video, take some time to write that down, think about that. Or you might just be thinking about it without writing it down and know straight away where it's come from. Yeah. And then a second prompt for you: how might that experience still be influencing me today? Yeah, how might that experience still be influencing me today? Yeah, so just talking about that. Okay, because you could be hiding aspects of yourself, maybe not being as vulnerable as you could be with your friends, with your family, that kind of thing. So it can be showing up in many different ways. And as I said, not even getting out there, staying in and not wanting to go out, not wanting to find a relationship, or in putting on this mask when you do go out dating. So it can show up in many different ways. And so, moving on now to how we can start to overcome this fear of rejection. What can we do to overcome this fear of rejection? And it begins with us practicing choosing ourselves. Yeah. Because healing rejection is about learning to accept and validate ourselves. As I said, everything really is a projection outwards. So the moment we're able to validate ourselves, love ourselves, accept ourselves, see ourselves as worthy, we will attract differently for sure. We'll have different experiences. So the first tool I want to sort of offer up to help sort of heal that and bring you back to your own self-love, self-worth is using Reiki, if you're attuned to Reiki, but energetic work on self love and self worth, because our inner child is still carrying this wound, this rejection, so we need to be the ones to heal her and make her feel worthy and to see her. So we can do that by placing one hand on our heart chakra, our left hand ideally, because that runs the heart meridian runs through the left arm, under the armpit down into the ring finger. And then the other hand can be on our sacral chakra. And I do believe that our sacral chakra holds our wounded inner child. It's a connection to our mothers and the female line. And then the sort of divine inner child, you could say, is we want to move her up from the wounded to the heart space. We want our divine inner child to be in our heart space. So placing one hand on the heart, one on the sacral, and then going into your Reiki, however that looks like to you, just bringing in that beautiful light, being that beautiful light. Obviously, initially you may set your intentions in Gosho, but just coming back to your heart space, to your sacral, and just kind of repeating, I love you. It's nice to say your name. It's nice to get used to hearing that said. So I love you, Gwen. I love you. I love you. So just repeating that and staying there, building that self-love. You can also, whilst here, or even, out of this position, sitting in meditation, you can also repeat Sehiki. Sehiki is the second Reiki symbol, which is all about rebalancing our thoughts and our mind, connecting our mind and our heart, so that we're no longer thinking these illusional thoughts. You may even say delusional thoughts of I'm not enough, I'm not lovable. All of these things are falsities. They're not true at all. And the truth of everybody, who we are, is that we are worthy, we are enough. Just as a newborn baby is enough and worthy, we are still like that newborn baby. We are still the same essence, the same person. And so we're still worthy of this love. So doing this work, one hand on the heart, one on the sacral, and just spending some time to sort of listen. With Sehiki as well, you can chant the words Sehiki to get that power, get that energy, feel that energy, or you can chant the Kotodama. And I'll put a link to the video where I'm chanting the Kotodama of my Reiki 2 class. So you can just have it in the background with your meditation or listen to it as you're going about your day in your headphones, just to start to build that self-love, self-worth. And you can set that as your intention, to build my self-worth, build my self-love. So that's one way with meditation on self love, ideally, as opposed to meditation about, I don't know, abundance or anything. I think it should be about self love to really build that in us. And then the other thing we can try is mirror work. And I love mirror work. Mirror work was really introduced to us by a lady called Louise Hay, who's the publisher of Hay House Publishing. She's passed away now, but she's written some beautiful books like You Can Heal Your Life. And I remember doing a meditation of Louise Hayes. I don't remember which one it was, sorry, but it was like 17 years ago. But it was connecting me to my inner child, and that was really beautiful to do. But she was also a big advocate of mirror work, where you look in the mirror, you look at you look in your eyes. You're not looking at, your features and spots and things like that. You're looking at you, looking at your soul by looking through your eyes and just saying, I love you. I love you, Gwen. I love you. And if that feels too much, because initially it is very, very difficult to do if you're not used to saying those words to yourself or hearing yourself say those words, it can be really difficult. Persevere with it just every day, doing the mirror work, understanding it will feel awkward, it will feel strange, it will feel untrue. And then gradually it gets easier and easier. What I have done for some of my clients is give them a drop down from I love you and maybe saying I like you, I like you, or you're okay, whatever you want to say to yourself, as long as it's soothing and loving is good. But leading up to that, I love you is the ultimate, I think. And you can say that whenever you're looking in the mirror. You could be brushing your teeth, you could be doing your hair, your makeup, whatever it is you're doing, whenever you're looking in the mirror. Many of us look in the mirror at least once a day, I'm sure. So you could be in the car and look in the mirror, look in your eyes and say, I love you. So just find a way to introduce that into your daily life, your daily routine. I had a client of mine who had been through horrendous abuse as a child. And when we came to do this bit as part of our coaching, she literally was like very resistant. I'm not going to be able to do this bit. This doesn't work for me. Not going to be able to do this. And, we made it something soothing. So we went from I love you to I like you. And she came back the following week and said that she was amazed. She was looking in the mirror. Initially, it was difficult, but after a while, she found herself trying on a dress and looking at the dress and thinking how nice she looked in it. And she never would have thought that before. And then she remembered, telling her daughter, her older daughter, "Oh, would you pick this dress? I look really nice." And her daughter was really surprised because she's never done that before. She's never seen that in herself before and appreciated herself in that way before. And this is just after 1 week, guys. 1 week. So don't underestimate the power of this work. It's just so beautiful. And if we're able to build this self-love in ourselves, as I said, that radiates out. If we love ourselves, one, we start choosing more selectively. So we won't select anyone who doesn't love us as much as we love ourselves because we have this love in us. And it takes time to build, and we're always working on it. But you're starting from a higher playing field, from a higher vibration. And then, as I said, you're choosing people who kind of reflect that vibration as well. People will resonate with you who reflect that vibration. It's a very attractive energy to love yourself. Very, very attractive energy. So yeah, the mirror work is just another thing that we can do. So we can do the meditation, we can do the mirror work. Choose a phrase that works for you, but please try and build up to over time being able to look at yourself and say, I love you, even hugging yourself, something like that. But yes, it's wonderful. Another thing I like to give my clients, and you might find useful as well, is to celebrate yourself by writing a greatness list. So this is a list that has everything in it about you that you love, everything you've achieved so far, the things you're good at, the things you've overcome, your kindness, your ability to help people, listen to people, understand people, your curiosity, your funness, whatever it is, just writing that down, even the jobs you've had and done, just to show you that you are picked. You've got jobs over people who maybe were rejected. Maybe hundreds of people applied for that job and you got that one job. So being able to write that list down, go through this, it doesn't take long to do. It does start pouring out, and then looking at this list and understanding that this is you and starting to value yourself, to love yourself more, just to see that love in you. Again, that helps you understand that you are one to be chosen. You're of value. You are a prize in yourself. It isn't just about, you them picking you, if that makes sense. You are of value, but you're also doing the choosing. You're also doing the choosing. So doing a greatness list is a really wonderful way to build your self-worth. which, pairs with your self-love. It's just a wonderful thing to do. But it's also useful if you're going through a bit of a down day. Things aren't going great for you that day. You're feeling a lot of self-doubt, whether it's around relationships or anything, and you're not feeling worthy, you're not feeling valued. You're able to read your list, and bring that all back again. Just remember who you are, remember your value, remember your importance. Yeah. Yeah, so we can also practice vulnerability. I think I've talked about this as well. Practicing it with your friends and family. Um, you know, Practice sharing things about yourself in conversations with your friends, with safe people, is really good. And it's going to stand you in good stead for when you have to do that when you're dating. So practice sharing and just being honest, maybe being honest about how you feel. If you're a little tired, being able to say that. So just these things are nice to practice, as well as choosing you. So if there's a people pleasing element, you making choices, choosing you. I talked about this in the last episode as well. Choose what you want to eat. Don't leave it up to them. Choose whenever you can choose, even if it's what TV show you want to watch right now. Um, if perfectionism is the thing that's holding you back as well, and that fear of being rejected because you're not perfect, done is better than perfect. That's a saying I learned from one of my coaches back in the day. Allow yourself to have something that isn't perfectly perfect. And when you release that and understand that there's no repercussions from doing that, there's no negative impact of presenting something that isn't perfect. It's a good standard, it's okay, it's good. It doesn't have to be perfect. Then you'll start to find peace with your imperfections, your own imperfections, and also your self-love, your self-love work, your mirror work will also allow you to accept things as they are, which is wonderful. As I said before, it's really important that we don't make rejection mean something about ourselves and our identity. Um, don't start assuming what they're thinking. Don't start mind reading. Don't create stories around a look or an inflection in their voice or anything, or even the rejection itself. Don't make anything mean anything. See it as course correction, see it as the universe pivoting you to the path you're meant to be on. This person isn't for you because you weren't in alignment, chemistry wasn't there, but you're on your path and you've learned something. So feel the gratitude in that. I learned something from that day. I learned more about what I want, what I don't want. So it's important that we just don't let our desire to be chosen override or overtake our desire to be with the right person, be with the right person for us. That's important. And also something that surprises my clients when they say, I'm not lovable and, people always leave me. I remind them that they've also done choosing too. So I ask them, have you ever rejected anyone? And usually it's like, actually, yes, I have. So put things in perspective. Let's not catastrophize this. Particularly if you've suffered from heartbreak and maybe it's been a few in a row. Remember when you've also broken some hearts or not chosen someone, um, from your teenage years all the way to now, when you've said no to someone coming up to you in a bar and you've said no. So you've also done the choosing. So choosing is part of life, and make it equal footing. We don't want to put this person on a pedestal. We're all doing the choosing. It's just choosing. Just choosing, just choosing. So when we're dating, I want to have a little look at that. One, remembering that we're all choosing, but you may reject this, but it's up to you. You might want to think about not putting all your eggs in one basket and actually dating multiple people to make you really understand that you are doing the choosing, and also to help you refine your choices a little bit more and your wants a little bit more. I wouldn't recommend sleeping with all those people. Let's be adults here, because that will deplete you. But and we might talk about that another time. But I think just dating and being honest about that, letting people know that that you're dating other people, keeps them on their toes, makes them try a little bit harder, makes them not take you for granted as well. So don't put all your eggs in one basket if you can, and maybe see. It doesn't have to be 5, 10 people. It might be 2 or 3 people that you're just kind of sussing out. Don't Don't date one person because you've seen them on a dating app or started dating, put that, and put everything else on hold and invest everything into that person. And it's such early stages. Date multiple people. Um, Catch yourself if you say things like, I hope they like me. I hope this is the one, or this could be the one. That energy is really, really, it's a pushing energy. So you really want to just be easy, be light, be free when you're out there dating, when you're on a date. Remove any thoughts that this could be the one. You're just exploring, see this person more as a friend, someone you're just having conversation with, and have some deep, I think when you're relaxed, you feel more authentic. Deep questions come out of you. So it's not just the superficial questions. You start having deeper conversations with this person, which coincidentally is also more attractive to the other person. It's not the typical questions. So keep it light, keep it fun, but you also, when you're talking, reveal your intelligence, reveal your truth. But kind of know what you're looking for, but in this kind of open, easy way. So we shift that energy from a grasping, pushing, kind of energy, forceful energy, to one which is just a little bit lighter. Um, yeah. So I guess you could say you could see it as a way of practicing dating, practicing conversations, practicing being vulnerable as well, practicing listening, practicing compassion, all of these things. Just see it like as I said, you're just talking to a friend. You just see it as practice. Be easy, be cool. Oh, yeah. Um, and I think as well with dating sites, I remember when I went back into the dating pool after a few years of being single, I didn't want to go for the dating site. So you don't have to. I knew it would bring up anxiety in me. And I wasn't yet of the mindset of seeing it as being kind of playful a little bit, and I just decided to not do that at all. And so dating sites aren't for everyone. And so, but you do need to get out there. You're not it's not impossible, but it's kind of hard to meet someone if you're just in your house every day. It might be the plumber that comes around to fix the tap, I don't know. But you stand more chance if you get out there in the world. We want to get out there without that grasping, I must find someone energy, without seeking that seeking energy. We kind of want to get out there and just be with your friends. As I said, with me, I just started going out with my friends more, to be with my friends, to be with them again. We had a really good time. We had a laugh. We had great food. That's what I was enjoying. I was really enjoying life. Staying at home, you really rethink that if that's your strategy. Staying at home, you want to kind of get out there, and particularly once you've done all these things, you're working on yourself. You're doing your self Reiki, doing your self meditation. You're working on your beliefs. You're working on your fears. Enjoying life. That's the important thing. But understanding we can meet someone anywhere, anytime. You know, um, it's just that the chances are reduced if you're just at home all the time. And it can be anywhere. It doesn't have to be a nightclub or a bar. It could be a workspace that you're at because you maybe work from home sometimes, and sometimes you want to work in a workspace. It could be a coffee shop you go to regularly. It could be courses that you go to and do that are in person. It could be if you really want to attract someone spiritual, it could be a spiritual seminar or convention or course or training that you're doing where you meet someone. So all of these things can kind of open up. Museum, it's nice if it's somewhere that links to your interests and you meet someone there. So just kind of be open and kind of get out there. Don't hide. Think about enjoying life, and that being the main objective as opposed to meeting someone. But the important thing is, guys, from today is choose you first. Look at where you don't choose you, how you show up when you don't choose you, why you don't choose you. We've explored that as well. And then start thinking about what you can do to start choosing you, even if it's down to buying something that's a bit more expensive than the thing you would have bought for yourself because, you think, oh, it's too much money and maybe you're not feeling yourself worthy of that thing, even that is choosing you, you know? So choose you. Don't let the fear of rejection lead you to hide your true self, lead you to people please or to be a perfectionist and avoid dating altogether. You know, we now know that rejection isn't a reflection of our worth. We don't need to make it mean anything about us. It's simply a redirection. It's simply the universe saying, nope, not that one, this one. You know, just see it like that. So keep choosing you. Keep choosing you. So next time we'll be looking at the fear of abandonment. And so look out for any notifications about that. I want to thank you for joining me today for this episode of Ready for Authentic Love on Awakening Airwaves. Please don't forget to subscribe, share it with a friend, leave a comment or a review, like wherever you're watching this video or listening to this video. And until next time, stay open, stay grounded, stay true to your heart. Thank you.